and the emotion that I feel tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
It's going to take some time for the emotion to set in because it's just really overwhelming. I think, people around here know me and know that I've always said, it's not cliche, that I'm just one of 22 guys on the field that went out and played. And to have one guy's jersey put up on the rafters when I know the other 10 guys in the huddle that made it possible, it feels a little inappropriate, almost a little inadequate. But we're going to have fun. Hopefully a number of guys will show up and we'll all do it together.
Questions for Don?
What memories do you hope fans kind of bring of you, and what do you think, their takeaway of you was?
I thought we had a fairly fun period of football here, with Coach Mack being the type of man that he is, and how he was in the community, and how we sort of transitioned into a team, a program that was 2-9 before we got here, to leave here 11-0, and I think we did it with a lot of fun and a lot of spirit. And again, you look at Coach Mack's leadership and what he meant to how we did it, in a very family way, very family and community-oriented way. I think that's what I'd like people to remember.
I was talking with Tim Green the other night, and he said that your first year that you were healthy, they tried to talk you into being a wide receiver, and you were just like, no, I'm good. Do you remember that? And how did that go, you being so young and standing up for yourself?
I don't remember it because there was no way it was going to happen. And, people think that my choice or stance on not playing another position had something to do with that I was being prideful. I was being smart. I can't catch. So to think that I was going to go play wide receiver was really, not to mention the fact that we had guys like Rob Moore and other wide receivers here who were more than outstanding wide receivers. So I don't remember the conversation because it didn't go very far.
Do you remember in '84 going up to the captains and saying, "I don't think we should drink this year. I think we should avoid the bus"?
No, that wasn't '84, and that wasn't me. I will tell you, if you want to know how that, you're talking about the alcohol-free season.
Yep.
In '87, that was really Coach Mack, and how that started was Coach Mack pushing us and saying, do you guys? What's up, Chris? What's going on? Coach Mack saying to us, you guys want to be special. You guys want to be unique. You want to do something special and unique. And we didn't know what he was talking about. He was really just talking to the three captains. And eventually he said, you guys should be alcohol free. Should do something unique and special. And so once he convinced the three captains, we took it to the seniors, and we had a couple of meetings with the seniors. Because you were asking the guys who were in there last year to say, I'm old enough to drink. I'm a senior. We're coming up a losing season. I'm going to make the best of this last go round. We had to convince those guys, and that was actually easier than I thought because it was all but one standout whose name I won't mention, who all said, okay, let's do this. And with that, we really started to police each other and police ourselves around it. You can ask me many reasons why we went from 5-6 to 11-0, and I'll tell you that's the number one reason. And because we were better in practice, we weren't hungover on Wednesdays and Thursdays in practice, and we were better prepared for games week in, week out because we were better in practice.
Was it '87 that you guys did that?
Yeah, that was the undefeated season.
What are some of the fondest moments you have from that undefeated season and knowing that was the last time Syracuse did it?
I think that was it. I think once we started in and won that first game, and Jake came in, and everybody said 1 down, 1 to go, and 1 down, 10 to go, and Jake said no, 1 down, 1 to go, and we got into this theme, into this rhythm of just focusing on the next game and not getting too far ahead of ourselves. I think that was the thing about it, why I said that the way that we did it, we were all overachievers. When you talk to Darryl Johnston, he'll tell you that he wasn't a hidden recruit. He's got 3 Super Bowl rings ultimately. You look at the kind of guys that we had on the team. John Garrett, our center, was he's smaller than McPherson, and was a tough guy. He's here around here somewhere, but was a tough guy, and we had a lot of overachievers on that team. And once we started to win and feel good about who we were and believed in what the coaches were doing, and it kept happening. That to me is what I remember most, is how the more we won and the better we got, I think we, always hear about people who are afraid of their own success, afraid to be successful. Well, once we were no longer afraid of being successful, it was incredible what we did as a team.
Rob Drummond was talking about how electrifying the locker room was with that Penn State game, coming off the losses that you had to Penn State, and just what it felt like. And bring us into that locker room and how the team really came together and started to believe that you were more than what you had been.
I think there are certain things that get lost sometimes in today's college sports, especially football landscape, of traditions and of history. And we were definitely a team of players who understood the Penn State history and tradition. And as a player, when you get told that this is your biggest rival and you haven't beaten them in 17 years, that doesn't feel like a rivalry to me. That feels like you're dormant. And so our team was so good and starting to understand that we were good, that by the time we got to Penn State, we all felt like this is our chance to not just get some payback, but to really prove to everyone what kind of football team we had. And so I don't think there was one guy in that locker room that had any doubt that we were better than Penn State. And then when we got the opportunities to prove it, we had a week off. So similar to this week, we had that week off where we had 2 full weeks to think about that game and to hear about the history and to hear about Joe Pa from '72 and the last time we beat him was when Ben was the coach. And we had plenty of time to hear all that, knowing that we were a better football team. And we came out from, as you know, from the very first snap. And never took our foot off the pedal. And that was as validating a football game as I've ever been a part of, because I think to a man, we walked into that locker room afterwards knowing that if we weren't the best team in the country, we were right there.
I'm sure you've been reminiscing a little bit in your head, maybe over the past couple weeks about coming back. Do you have a favorite story or a favorite memory, or one or two? I know it's probably tough to narrow it down.
Yeah, it is. I think for me, I've spent so much time not talking about football in my professional life. I'm talking about things that, not that football doesn't matter, but things that really do matter, things that you carry with you for a lifetime. And I've spent a lot of time on campus over the last several years with the campaign and with a lot of, I think, amazing things that have gone on here. I'm proud of my team from back in the 80s. I'm proud of this institution and where it's gone. So what's really fun for me is that I was a very serious person when I was in school, and my teammates were insane, and they all have great memories of their insanity. So I get to sit around now and listen to them reminisce, and I always wonder, where was I when you guys were doing these things? Because they were doing some crazy stuff, and the stories are great, and I'm not a part of any of them, so it was kind of cool, guys, to sit and listen to them talk about all the fun they had. I was a very serious guy when I was in school, and maybe too serious. Maybe I didn't take myself seriously, but I took this seriously. So my favorite moments are those of us working hard out in that field, and when it paid off, that's when it was fun.
Do you have any advice for the team for tomorrow's game when the large part of the outside world isn't really giving Syracuse a chance, but they know down deep in themselves that they can pull off a great upset?
Yeah, I watched the Bud Pelicans posted something the other day on Syracuse.com. It showed with the ESPN piece of Clemson coming in the stadium and all the pomp and circumstance. Which is, I ran into a couple of Clemson folks this morning on campus. It's amazing. I'm a college football junkie. I'm a college sports junkie. I love the history, the traditions, the fanfare, and that is as good as it gets. Right? But then I went and looked at their history, and they won one national championship at Clemson. And so have we. So all that stuff doesn't matter. All that stuff that people say outside these doors doesn't matter. It's what you do when you get between the lines on the field. And if you go out and go into a game listening to all those people, you go into a game thinking that because Sean McDonough or somebody says that, here's what the stats say and this is what should happen or shouldn't happen, those people are not the ones on the field. And you have a moment right now, to a man, they are as talented, they are as fast, they are as well coached, and to a man, if they go out and execute, they can beat this team. And I think they have a shot. And I don't care what anybody else says out there who thinks for whatever reason they don't. They have a shot. You know why they have a shot? Because they're lining up tomorrow and playing.
Do you have a chance to get in the locker room tomorrow pre-game, post-game, and give that speech? No, that's pretty good.
They don't need me for that. I'm sure that in this day and age, with how many cameras are here and how many people are going to and the kind of technology that's out there, they can't hide from all that. And they're either you're a competitor and you're a kid and you're gonna say, wow, we can't win this game because someone at ESPN says this is the best Clemson team we've seen in 2 decades, right? If you think that, then you probably should just stay in your apartment in Skytop and not come on down. But I guarantee you these kids don't think that. I guarantee you they think, screw that, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna punch somebody in the mouth. No, I'm not.
Figuratively.
You kind of feel the electricity in the air being on the hill and homecoming weekend. And what is that kind of like, being honored in a game against Clemson?
For me,
Yeah.
It's hard because I as I said, the honor for me really is not personal. It really is. I think of professors that I had and people who were part of my life here who made it what it is, and I'm honored with the honor, and I'm humbled by it. But I go back. I keep going back to it. I think this is part of what I hope this team understands, is that no one person gets this. This doesn't happen because of one person. I went to practice at Fort Drum in August, and that's what I kept thinking about. Because this was coming, and I thought the way that one guy goes up there is when all, the entire team is behind what we're doing, not behind that one guy, but behind what we're doing. This is an honor for the other reasons, because I love college football and I love the move to the ACC, and I love this game against Clemson, who clearly is the class of the conference. So it's an honor to be a part of this day in that way, and that's special. That feels good because I cover college football as an analyst, and I'm a junkie, I'm a college football junkie, and so from that standpoint, that's the excitement that I feel. And then being at the Aaron's Awards luncheon just a few moments ago, and being able to be around all the electricity of Arden Central, it's just a great week.
Donnie, what's that? Given that, though, what is that feeling going to be like for you at halftime tomorrow when you're looking up there and you're seeing that banner come down, your jersey kind of being revealed up there in the rafters? What is that emotion going to be like?
You just gave me goosebumps now, and I it's really not downplaying. But I will say that I'm really not sure. It's overwhelming, really, because as I say, I look up there and I think of all the guys who should be up there. I look at there's so many, Art Monk, Joe Morris. I mean, you can go down the list of great football players who had a chance to play here, and so I look up there and I see me representing those guys.
Are you gonna get a chance to see old teammates and Coach Mack? And do you have time for that while you're
Oh,
up
absolutely. We'll see a couple of guys. We'll all go out to dinner, and tonight a few guys will, whoever's in town will go out to dinner and and reminisce and and do that. Try to behave ourselves.
Derek Ward mentioned jazz clubs while you guys were here. Were you always kind of your own guy, outside of football?
Yeah, and I think some of it was my personality, but also some of it was I was afraid to hang out with my teammates because I wasn't cool. I'm not cool, and if I tried to be cool, I usually got in trouble or I did something stupid, and so I just, Coach Mack used to say, play within yourself, and to me it was live within yourself, and so I love jazz. I love, I don't dance. Derek Ward and Carl Jenkins, Chubby Jenkins used to call me Disco Charlie because I didn't dance, and one time I danced and I made a fool of myself, so don't do that, right? Jazz was, and it was easy. There was a much deeper psychological analysis of my behavior in college, and a lot of it was around not being secure in who I was as a man, because I wasn't a football player. I wasn't a tough guy. I wasn't like my teammates, and I should say like my teammates, but I was aware of it. And so I dressed a certain way, and I kind of distanced myself from it because, as I said, if I started to act that in ways that weren't me, then you get yourself in trouble. When I was growing up, I always thought it was because I was black that I had to display a more sophisticated, more well-rounded human being. But as I got older, I realized it's because I was a guy. and what guys were expecting me to do was to be a tough guy and to drink a lot and to chase women and do all these things that wasn't my personality. And so I had to behave a different way that allowed my teammates to go, that's just not.
That's pretty good. That's a good answer.
What do you think of the quarterback tomorrow?
I think that that Terrell is playing like a guy who said, when I get my chance, you all going to know what I can do. And I'm not going to look back. And I think that not just his play, but the play of everyone around him stepped up a notch when he came in the football. And I think he brought an attitude and a swagger to it that I think is not going to be daunted to the other question about all the hype and all the fanfare. He doesn't care about this stuff. And I think his attitude and his swagger is going to get him right past all that. If you want to know what I think about the guy on the other side of the ball, I think he's, as a senior, I think he's one of the best talents right now in college football, in any position. And I think the thing that Taj Boyd has that a lot of young players should watch is he has a maturity about himself. I mean, he has a maturity about himself that allows him to perform, but also to appreciate the performance.
That was a much bigger deal when you were here, and that's a good thing. But isn't it all, I guess, emotionally rewarding to see two black starting quarterbacks going against each other? And, I mean, it was a much bigger issue when you were here than it is now.
Yeah, and you know what? Syracuse has always been a place of pioneers, and I think people don't. When you look at Eileen Collins and Marty Glickman, and you look at so many pioneers, Wilmot Sadat Singh is someone whose name people don't know. And here's a man a long time ago, before they even had defined a quarterback, was a quarterback. Bernie Custis, another name that many people don't know, was an African American quarterback who left here and went and played in the CFL and set all kinds of records, won a Grey Cup and championship in Canada. These are guys who are part of that legacy. And so for me to come here at a time when I was aware of that, but I really wasn't. I was aware of that legacy, but what happened when I came here, no one blinked. No one said, well, maybe you can be a quarterback. It was, no, you'll be a quarterback. And that's why my commitment to come here in high school was so quick. And if you think about our institution, again, with so many firsts. And just leaving the Aarons Award and talking about some of the people, you get blown away by the people who come through this institution. It's nice to see a game where there's two black quarterbacks inside of the issue. I would even go a step further when there was two black head coaches in the Super Bowl. What I loved about those two men was, and this is got me on the topic, but these two men was that everyone said these two black men, but what I loved about them was that they were two men of faith, and they were two men who were not yells and screamers and were going to get in your face and demean and do all those things that unfortunately coaches get a bad reputation. These are two loving men. I don't know if his name was Lovey, right? These are two loving men, and that to me is just a side note. But you got me thinking about those guys.
Anything else for Don today?